This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Monday, everybody. I got a very special solo show for you guys here today. We're going to be breaking down some industry headlines. We got a couple of articles we're going to be talking about. And then, but we are going to jump in right away and do our This Week in Freight powered by DAT. You guys, DAT is my official data partner. I've literally used them for the entirety of my career. And we're just helping people, from my perspective, read the freight market, right? Like, there's so much information that comes out at any given moment out there, and it's not as cut and dry as you would want to think, right? Like, even there's certain markets out there where rates are raising, everything's kind of, all over the place, but then, like, legitimately the lane we're about to break down, you guys, is actually reducing in price and everything, right? So it's like, there is no cookie cutter approach, one size fits all. But what I want everybody to always look out for is the way that the market really performs out there. So we're going to be breaking that down here shortly. And let's just jump in right now, you guys. Today is a drive-in, and it is This Week in Freight powered by my friends over at DAT. And this week's lane for the vans is Minneapolis, Minnesota to Louisville, Kentucky. And what's the first thing you noticed about this? It's dropping, right? The price is dropping. Fuel prices went up, but the rate is dropping overall. So again, let's look out for those consistencies that you can apply on every single market, regardless of what's happening. As always, you guys, the literal first thing I always look at is the miles. Why do I do that? General rule of thumb, 500 miles a day is about what a solo driver will and can get. I'd say up to 500 miles, depending on what their hours are. But general rule of thumb, that's what I've looked at. And that's how I always go to my customers, is 500 miles per day for transit. So obviously, if my customer comes to me and it's 1,000 miles, and it's got to pick up on a Monday, I let them know pick Monday, delivery by Wednesday, stuff like that. And then again, if it's 1,500 miles, pick Monday, deliver by Thursday. And I know that every driver's hours are different. Some people have fresh hours, so on and so forth. But that's just the general rule of thumb I apply to everything out there. But this one in particular, obviously, there was some massive spikes that had happened out here. In February at its peak, it was, $600 higher than the national, or like the year average. And again, like, I'm not going to tell you guys exactly what to quote. And I'm not going to tell you like, oh, this is the hottest lane in America, reposition your fleet all the way out there. But if you were paying attention to the weather during this time of year out in Minnesota, they got slammed with a lot of snow, late season snow, unseasonable late season snow out here. So that's one of those things, in addition to the fuel prices being what they are out there, that can really explain that jump. But I mean, we're on a downward trajectory here, right? So at its peak, we were at 2,300 on this specific lane, Minneapolis going to Louisville. Now, this isn't all outbound Minneapolis lanes, but I mean, we're back down now within $100 of the 1 year average. So you got to ask yourself, in what you're seeing out there in the market, like, why is this specific lane starting to drop? And if you've been moving freight at all, UPS dominates the Louisville market, and there's plenty of freight all over the place. But again, you would think in theory, like, hey, this lane, in accordance to everything else out there, would be driving up that price. So this is why it's like, in times like right now, you really need to take this on a week by week basis with your customers. And like I've always said, if you're in a spot market situation with your customers, you are in a very strong position right now. Contracted rates, especially if they're all in, like if you have line haul plus fuel pricing with your customers, you're also in a pretty strong position right now, because again, you're making a lot more in fuel than you're used to. So you can sustain this stuff. But if you have like all in contracted rates, again, every customer is different. There is no one size fits all approach to this. You might be in a pretty tough spot, especially if you went in and raised all your rates here over these last couple of weeks, potentially prematurely. And then if rates start to drop back down in any capacity, you might have, jumped the gun a little too soon. And again, this is why I will always say, you guys, I like to wait. I don't ever want to be the first to point in one direction or another. I kind of like to wait 30, 60, ideally 90 days if you have the ability to navigate that, because things can change and fluctuate, right? So it's like, I'm glad this viewer submitted this lane. And again, you guys, these are all 100% viewer submitted. And we get them all. And I want to look for this stuff, because like, this is an anomaly lane out there compared to all the headlines that you see and all the talk about how everything's going up and everything's going in one direction or another. This is contrary to what you see out there in the market, that rates are rising and, the fuel prices and, capacity and all of this stuff. This goes against the grain, right? So it's like, I will always say this, you guys, during a market tightening of any capacity, you really need to talk to your carriers. You really need to see, what do people actually need to move this freight? Because again, if you go off of a headline or a post on social media, and I understand the irony that this show is on social media, but I will always let you guys know, like, get that truck in hand. If you're not 100% confident in what you want to quote, because like, again, if you went in and you bid off of even this rate, a couple of weeks back here, you guys, you'd be pricing yourself out of the market. You would be losing all of that volume on that lane, because somebody's paying attention and seeing like, hey, this lane's trending down. Let's adjust our pricing, and let's, again, have those conversations with your customers. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, you guys, but that lane is This Week in Freight. I would say, unless you move this lane often, this might be a tricky one. I would pay attention to this one, because again, it's going down when every other lane that we broke down over these last couple of weeks has been skyrocketing up. So again, pay attention, truck in hand, talk to your drivers in the network, find out where are things trending, where are things going, and you can be able to bring some stability to your customer. And again, if you guys want your lane broken down on this show, I just need you to email my team, podcast@thefreightcoach.com. We just need shipping, city, delivery, city, trailer type. I don't need anything else. I don't want to know anything else, because again, I just want you guys to understand how I personally read markets as I'm going in out there. And, and if I wasn't abundantly clear about this when we first started seeing tightening capacity, rising fuel prices, and everything out there in the market, you guys, I want to be abundantly clear. You need to talk to your customers and let them know, like, hey, during this time, I think it would be beneficial for us to all talk on like a week by week basis here, and because you can prematurely make a decision that's going to positively or negatively affect your book of business out there. And when we're in a transitionary time like right now, like, I know there's a lot of data out here, but it doesn't apply to every single lane that you're moving out here in the country. So I just want you guys to be aware of this as you're progressing throughout this year. I would advise having, maybe a weekly or a bi-weekly phone call with your guys as customers, and let them know, like, hey, I want to talk to you every couple of weeks, because, we see fuel is fluctuating out there, capacity is fluctuating out there. I just want to bring you the most competitive price that I can, because I'm saying this because like I see a lot of stuff out on social media. I see, especially from the driver community that's out there. I was getting multiple DMs this weekend that rates actually were dropping in a lot of markets here, and it's just like, again, there's so much stuff that's going on. And it's like pricing for a lot of us is what keeps us in the door. Yes, it can become secondary in certain circumstances, but I look at with where things could happen and what could happen, because again, anytime that there's any spike in any cost, like let's just use fuel as the example here, there's going to be a natural stabilization period that will come after everybody realizes that, oh, hey, rates are going up. I am going to move my truck, or a lot of decisions that are going to happen out there. So it's like, I just open line of communication with your customers right now, you guys. Don't go in one way or another. And again, if you have contracted pricing, I will just tell you, again, I don't have access to your checkbook. So, but this is how we're handling it. We're literally taking it on a week by week basis with all of our customers. And we're trying to deliver them solutions, because like if capacity frees up on a certain lane and I can deliver cost savings to my customers while still paying my carriers fairly in regards to the market, I'm going to do that. And that's how I'm going to navigate through a lot of these times, because this article, I'm just going to bring this up quick because this wasn't on my original roster of articles that I was going to break down. But, due to a lot of what happened during the negotiations with Vice President Vance in Pakistan with Iran, the Strait of Hormuz is definitely not open. There looks like there's going to be some military intervention that could potentially come from a lot of this, and oil prices shot back up overnight, right? So like that initial talks of the ceasefire dropped the price of oil down into the 90s, I believe. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me here, but as all of this progresses, like oil prices shot back up because of everything that was going down. So it's going to be a lot. It's just going to be an interesting time, right? Like, and I just want you guys to be prepared for this. It's not as cut and dry and, hey, look at this chart, go and fucking torpedo all of your rates with your customers here. I don't think it's going to mirror COVID like a lot of people might hope, in the sense of like it's just going to be pure chaos. Shippers adapt. They're highly intelligent. Everybody adapts out there, you guys, and you guys need to know how to navigate through this, because it's not just going to be a name your price. If you got a truck, we'll pay you $87 million on every single load. I just don't see a world where that happens again in its current venture, right? Like, again, things could change, wars could escalate, things could happen, and that would completely change my opinion. But in today's, if I'm calling balls and strikes on how I see it today, I don't know if COVID 2.0 is going to be a reality like I think a lot of people are hoping for, and a lot of the posts that I'm seeing out there. Because again, oil shot back up, might be another tightening capacity. This is why I would just advise you guys to take it on a week by week basis. And if you guys have long-term contracted rates with your customer, if you're the only one asking for a rate increase, like this is where it's like having deep pockets really pays off, because this is where a lot of the large businesses can crush the smaller businesses, because they don't have to go in. I'm not saying that they don't go in and ask for more money or anything like that, but if they got a customer who hardlines and we're like, no, you have to honor these rates out here, and then people are able to break even or lose a little bit and service the account, and you're the only one who goes in and asks for a rate increase, it's slim pickings for you moving forward out there. But let's break in and jump into some articles here, you guys. As always, the links to all the articles we break down in this show are uploaded onto the show notes on iTunes and Spotify. Hit them up. And if you do go to iTunes and Spotify and you see that little ranking button or subscribe button and you haven't done that, do your boy a solid. Subscribe to the show. Rank it out here. This is how we get out there into the universe. And one quick note, shout out to my man, Rob Carpenter. He's been on the show multiple times. He was one of the faces on that 60 Minutes interview that dropped out there. And I personally loved seeing him on there. Not only is he somebody who I respect, he's passionate about his role, but he's driven. He's ingrained in the industry, and it's not the normal faces that you see when it comes to trucking. So it's like, I love seeing that. And I love that firsthand experience that they brought out there. But let's overdriveonline.com. Truckers take control of mainstream media. The year 2026 might be the year that actual truckers, not just corporate think a trucker messaging, finally broke through the mass media narrative and entered the public conscience on its own terms. The president, transportation secretaries, attending trucking shows, congressional trucking caucuses in the House. Trucking isn't just reported industry news, but prime time across networks. And if you don't buy that, just watch former Overdrive small fleet champ contender and small fleet owner Jamie Hagan tell CNN nefarious ELD cheats and foreign drivers have brought rates down. Just 3 months into his second term, the president issued an executive order. We know about ELPs, non-domiciled CDLs. We know about all that. And then almost a year later, arguably the most famous man on earth hadn't forgotten the trucking industry. The trucking came up loud and proud in the State of the Union. And just like Secretary Duffy, just like Trump, has plenty to attend to besides trucking. On the same day, the Senate confirmed. All right, we're not going to read into that. All right. So with this one, again, in kind of in regards to why I brought up the 60 Minutes interview there with my man, Rob Carpenter, I love seeing people who are active in this industry in the driver's seat, in the broker seat, on the shipper side, the guys loading trucks, people doing the actual work. I love seeing that as opposed to the typical messaging that you get out there. And again, I'm not trying to discredit anybody's experience out there, but I love seeing small business represented in the mainstream because it doesn't happen very often. And to have that level of insight brought up in on some of those major platforms, it's phenomenal to see. It really is. I love seeing that. I look at it if like we're looking at this article as a whole, I look at it where it's like it's never as bad as people think, but it's never as good as people think. It's usually somewhere in the middle. And mainstream reporters, like again, when you're talking high level publicly traded people, they don't necessarily know the ins and outs of hours of service, parking rates, and they're just like speaking to the actual drivers and stuff like that. So it's like for me, that's what normally gets lost in translation with a lot of this stuff. And I also look at it and this is something that I can say with 100% confidence is a lot of what people are reporting about in the industry is something that I built my entire brand on, and that's by providing education on the industry, right? Like straight up education, not entertainment, nothing like that. Like, and I just wanted to build a platform that people could tune into. Again, I don't know everything at the end of the day, but I have a lot of great guests who come on who know a hell of a lot more about than I do about what they do day in and day out. And I like seeing that. I like seeing other people go out there and report more on their experience and what they're doing and create content behind that. Because again, it's awareness, it's advocacy in the right, coming from the right direction that is out there. And again, it's like when you see a lot of these headlines that come down from mainstream media and a lot of stuff, when you see like, influencer culture come in to the trucking industry that aren't necessarily from the industry, and they're just sharing the shittiest clips of all humanly possible, and they don't ever talk about what goes right in this industry, it can vastly change the public's perception out there on the industry. I'm not saying that we're perfect or anything like that, but I think that for us to take back control, like actual transportation professionals to take back control of the mainstream media narrative on our industry, let alone on social media, and we're talking about what goes right and how to kind of spot the right stuff out there. I like seeing that. And it also, to me, I'm a free speech absolutist, and people want to talk about misinformation and everything, and again, we could talk about all of this till we're blue in the face, but I do like having more of a unified voice coming from the industry, right? Like, again, to tie in a lot of that, that 60 Minutes interview that came on out there, like the TIA has literally had legislation since 2013 on that exact topic, right? And here we are 13 years later, and it's now going in a 60-minute interview. And, again, same with the dispatch services and everything else out there. Like the TIA has been fighting this for a long time. And it's like, again, I know the perception that brokers and the reputation that some brokers get out there in the market, but like we do need to start, I would love to see this, drawing that hard line in the sand of like the right brokers and the wrong brokers, just like the right trucking companies and the wrong trucking companies, i.e. the people who are breaking the rules and the laws on one side, separate them from everybody else. And then again, you highlight the people who are doing it the right way. And again, if we have that unified voice out there in the industry, I think that only moves the industry forward in the right direction. But that article is from overdriveonline.com. Again, get out there, tell your story. If you got actual experience on the industry, hit my team up, podcast@thefreightcoach.com. We want to talk to anybody and everybody. As long as you have value you want to add. If you just want to come in and talk shit on brokers or drivers or anything like that, I don't want to talk to you. But if you want to come on and talk about your experience in the industry and have it add value to the industry, hit us up. I'm always looking for people to come on and talk about this stuff. I have an open invite to every truck driver in the United States of America who's doing it the right way and wants to tell their story. Come on the show. I want to talk to you. But second article we are going to break down today, and this is another one, is from ttnews.com. It is about tariffs. I know we've been talking about tariffs and nonstop out there, you guys. But again, this is still a very real thing. And there's a lot of stuff that could be upended about this here. This article is from ttnews.com. A new legal battle has reached the courts regarding Trump's tariff policies. This isn't just about politics. It's about like the cost of capacity. And then the segment audits how trade barriers directly influence freight volumes and margins out there. I look at with, sorry. I think tariffs are a good thing overall. Like I've stated on this show, and I know, most people don't remember every single thing that I've said on the show, but I'm going to be abundantly clear. I think tariffs are a good thing for the long term of this country. What I don't think is a good thing is the flip-flopping, right? Where it's like, hey, we're at 10% today, and then, oh, you said something wrong there, we're going to go to 847% out there. I think it crushes small businesses and is highly irresponsible. But I think the idea of tariffs is a good thing. And we need to renegotiate a lot of our trade agreements with a lot of countries, because from my personal opinion, this is just Chris Jolly here. If our country, the United States, our tax dollars are subsidizing you in any way, shape, or form, i.e., we're paying you money to exist, and you somehow have the upper hand on our tariffs, like somehow it's unfair to the United States, but like you need us to be able to function as a country. Like that's the stuff that needs to change, because if we're giving people our tax dollars to function as a country and we're not making that back up, that's a losing deal. Now, again, I don't have all the information to literally every single conversation and bill and law and everything and relationship that's been made in the history of this country. I just look at it as I don't want to fund people and then have them still be able to take advantage of us in any way, shape, or form. That's not a fair agreement out there. So I think a lot of it needs to be done. It needs to be updated, and we need to come to an agreement on it, because I just don't think it kind of surprises me, actually, that there's a lot of people out there who think that we shouldn't be able to charge tariffs, but we should subsidize every country out there, and then they should be able to take advantage from us on the back end, right? Like that's just does not make any sense to me at all. And I look at it as with us being the literal largest economy in the world by like a whopping like $14 trillion. Like I think China's number 2 based on the last data that I saw, and it could be wrong. We're at like 32 to 34 trillion is our economy, and China was at like 18 to 20 trillion. So again, like we are the largest economy by like a lot. And for us to not, again, fair trade, I'm not saying that we got to crush people economically and they need to be beholden to us or anything like that. But like, we should not be at a disadvantage if we are allowing countries to sell goods into our economy. We should not be footing the bill for that and then losing money on that. So we need to renegotiate a lot of these things, and we need to come to an agreement on it. And I really hope that they're able to get a common ground agreement in place instead of these flip-flops. Because again, that's my biggest complaint with all of this is it's the amount of flip-flops that had happened. They seemingly have quieted down here after the Supreme Court ruling and everything. But again, it's not yet done. And I just want to come to an actual conclusion on this so we can continue to move forward, because it affects everything, right? When fuel prices are up, tariffs, when everything's up, who pays for that? The consumer. Most Americans are struggling in any day and age, let alone right now. And again, just pay attention to consumer credit card spending and delinquencies and everything else, you guys. It's up a lot. And it's just like literally go to Google or Gemini or something like that and type in your questions. It'll do all the research for you. It takes 38 total seconds. And I'm looking at this. So from that perspective here of, I hope they can get an agreement done here to where the tariff talk is done, that we somehow renegotiate it and get it back into our favor instead of us paying for subsidizing countries and then having them somehow have the upper hand. Again, fair agreement is what I'm looking for, but like we shouldn't be getting double charged for this stuff. All right. So that article, ttnews.com, talking about the tariffs. And I did want to bring up this last thing as we're kind of wrapping up the show here today. This article was also from overdriveonline.com. Double brokering cargo thief charged in court. Love seeing this because, like, I'm a fan of repercussions. You commit crimes, you should probably be fined for it and sent to jail. And, you know, I think that truly, if you do something wrong and to stop people in the future from doing things wrong, or at least minimize it, there should be very, very harsh penalties associated with it. Because again, most people are going to continue to commit crimes if they know that there's going to be a slap on the wrist and, you know, sent back on their way, and they're going to be able to continue to commit those crimes. A New York man has been arrested and charged by the FBI for their alleged involvement in a double brokering theft scheme. The alleged goods stolen were beer, frozen snow crabs, and pallets of blueberries, and also designer cologne. Ramoy Forbes, a Jamaican national living in Deer Park, was indicted for interstate transportation of stolen goods and conspiracy to commit the offense. Forbes was previously arrested on February 5th in Long Island after being charged by complaint in the District of Massachusetts. He was later released on conditions, and April 7th was arraigned in court. According to the indictment, Forbes and his co-conspirators were able to steal the goods partly through fraudulent emails that they sent to shippers. The emails were made to appear as if sent by legitimate trucking companies offering and agreeing to receive and deliver the goods the shippers had advertised needing transportation. And then on July 15th of 2025, Forbes allegedly obtained the snow crab. Okay, so it lays out a lot of this stuff. And like, obviously, you guys, this is like the digital component of this is like one of the hardest things to track, right? Shout out to my friends at the NMFTA. They do a cybersecurity conference annually about this. I would highly, highly recommend a lot of you guys attend that, because the typical ways that freight theft and double brokering and a lot of this that goes on has exponentially changed from how it used to be done out there. And again, email spoofing, phishing, all of that stuff can lead to a lot of information being done. And again, like hackers and everything else, like it's I'm never going to say preventable, but there are a lot of information out there to help protect your organizations, because they go after literally everybody here. It's not just, oh, we're going after these specific companies. Like literally businesses of all shapes and sizes are truly targets right now. And again, there's a lot of information that is out there to help protect your organization. But you guys read into this. Again, double brokering. I'm glad this person got charged. I hope they continue to drop the hammer legally on all the bad actors out there and people who are breaking the law, because it kind of helps out the people who aren't breaking the law, right? I.e. the people you would want to reward, the ethical operators that are out there. You should probably want them moving your freight in any capacity, whether it's a broker or a carrier. And, you know, again, these individuals who are allowed to steal and bribe and cheat their way through life, there should be some serious repercussions that, you know, when people look up, like, should I start a double brokering ring? And they're like, oh, damn, that person got $5 million fine and 50 years in prison. Ooh, probably shouldn't do that. That's what I think anyways. But again, hey, what do I know? I went to public school. But that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank that show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Hey, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the